About me. I'm a 23-year-old woman. I have a 7-year-old son. I'm bi and in a relationship with a woman. My parents divorced when I was 12. Dad said he was okay with my orientation, but when it came to the pregnancy, he understandably lost his crap. Which I think anyone would if their 15-year-old got knocked up. Dad is currently seeing Sue, who I've only spoken to 3 times in the 3 years they've been dating. I see Dad once a month and talk to him on the phone once a month too. Edit for clarification. I see Dad once a month, with my son and often my girlfriend, but she can't always make it. And despite seeing Dad monthly, I've seen Sue 3 times in as many years. My siblings are 20, 17, and 13, and still live with Mom and Dad in equal amounts, so they see Sue regularly. Sue's kids are 19 and 8. While I do talk to Sue when I see her, Dad tends to dominate conversation, and she's asked me questions that make me think Dad hasn't told her anything about me. Like asking if I have a boyfriend, and when she asks me, Dad usually interrupts and changes topic before I can answer. Also, the meetings typically consist of Dad, Sue, and their 6 total kids, and my son and girlfriend couldn't be there for all 3. Sometimes I've gotten the feeling that Dad is intentionally stopping us talking, though I couldn't say why, so I figured I was overthinking it. So now Dad's proposed and Sue accepted. I called to give them congratulations, and I was on speaker. I started to ask my son, "Son, do you want to talk to?" And I was about to say Granddad, when Dad cut me off and said he was getting another call, but he'd call some other time. That incident prompted my girlfriend to ask exactly how much Sue knows, as we've gotten the feeling that Dad has forgotten to mention my son and girlfriend to people before now. Nothing conclusive, mainly just shocked expressions and a general vibe. That prompted me to look back on interaction with her, and I'm pretty sure she doesn't know my son and girlfriend exist. I decided to test the waters, so my girlfriend and I put together a text basically saying, "Hi Sue, congratulations again on the engagement. I know we don't know each other that well, and I think if you're going to be my stepmom, we should fix that. Would you want to meet for a coffee?" Sue responded she's free tomorrow, but she'll have her son, 8, with her. Seeing the opportunity, I responded, "The cafe in local park is open. My son is about the same age as yours, 7, and loves the playground, so me and my girlfriend take him there all the time. I could bring him and we could make it a play date." I got left on red. It's been a couple hours and my dad has just called me. He never told Sue about my son and girlfriend. She asked for space and isn't talking to him. He wants me to tell her I'd asked him not to say anything. I don't want to do that. I feel like if he'd mentioned this at any point in the 3 years they've been together, this wouldn't be an issue now. But my siblings have said that, yes, Dad should have said something sooner, but also said that I was looking to start crap with my messages, and I could have handled it better, and I may have ruined Dad's longest relationship since Mom. Am I the a-hole for telling Sue about my girlfriend, son? Update. It doesn't sound like Sue's issue was that I'm a teen mom, or bi, or in a relationship with a woman. Just that Dad lied about it. She's responded saying she'd love to meet tomorrow, though I'm updating this after midnight, so technically it's today. Dad says she's still not speaking to him though, so no idea why Sue is talking to me before him. Update 2. Met Sue. Boys got on fine. She was nice to both my son and girlfriend. Sue basically said, "Okay, so here's what your dad has told me. You can just say if it's true or not." And we established that Dad had told her the truth about basically everything except me. He told her I was 28, I'm 23, presumably to hide the teen mom part. She'd seen a photo of my son at his place, and he'd said that it was his nephew, and I had mentioned my girlfriend by name, and Dad said she was my roommate. Sue took a bit to absorb the information, thanked me for being honest, and I asked her what happens now. She's going to ask Dad to go to individual and couples therapy, and either they'll work it out, or they won't. Update 3. Dad sent me a very long apology text, and a confirmation he'd been attending therapy, and a request that at some point I come to a session or 2 of his individual therapy. Honestly debating going low or no contact, because in the text, he basically admitted that he doesn't like to acknowledge my son or my girlfriend's existence, because those aspects of my life make him feel like he failed as a father. He also stressed that he loves my son, and my son is his pride and joy, but it's hard to be around him for this same reason. I don't know how I feel about seeing him after that, and even with therapy, I doubt it'd make him a new man, to be honest. Not the a-hole. Your dad trying to keep your significant other and child a secret from his fiance is incredibly weird, and I'm kind of dying to find out why he did that. Not the a-hole. Your dad's behavior is effed up, and he deserves to have Sue pissed off at him. It's not your place to make nice in his relationship. Plus, how would your son feel if one day Sue tells him how his mom asked for him to be kept secret? This is your dad's mess. Don't make it yours. Not the a-hole. Sue has the right to be upset as her almost husband left out vital family information for 3 years that was common knowledge to everyone else. So either dad is embarrassed of you, or he thinks Sue would have a problem with you. Either way, your dad is the a-hole for keeping Sue in the dark. I imagine she's wondering how he got away with keeping this information for so long, and what else he might be keeping from her. Better she get her answers before she says I do. Haha. I'm 19 and a student, and all my clothing and school-related expenses come out of my wages, but I don't pay rent or contribute to living expenses like food or bills. My stepmom has been spring cleaning the house. I've been helping her. I was going to uni today, and she asked if I had any clothes to throw out. I have a drawer of men's t-shirts that I bought to wear while painting, biking, or dyeing my hair so I didn't ruin my other clothes. I told her to leave me one shirt, but the rest could be thrown, and I have a couple pairs of leggings in my laundry basket with holes that could also go. I got home and literally over half my wardrobe is gone. The stuff I said she could take is gone, as are all my low-cut tops, miniskirts, skinny jeans, and almost all of my dresses. I asked where all my stuff is, and stepmom says that she thought all of that stuff looked small. Basically all that's left is joggers, straight-cut jeans, high-cut shirts, t-shirts. She even threw out my heels. Anyone who saw my wardrobe without context would assume it was hers, a middle-aged Catholic mum. This is all stuff I've paid for out of my wages. I said I expected her to pay me back because it's almost my entire wardrobe gone. She says she'll do no such thing. She was helping me keep my room clean, and I said she could take stuff. I yelled at her and said she had no right to do that, and she got really upset and said she was only trying to help. It's also probably relevant that they get annoyed at me a lot for the state of my room. It's not super messy, but I leave clothes over my desk chair often, and sometimes they fall on the floor. But I always aim for the chair and pick them up. Dad is annoyed at me for yelling, says he pays for everything else, and I can replace my clothes on my money. Which I could, but it would take several weeks, and I've already paid for it once, and it's my stepmom's fault I'm paying out again. My brother wants me to keep the peace and is annoyed I started the fight. Am I the a-hole? Because I don't feel like I am, but everyone else seems to disagree. Yikes, this is awful. Not the a-hole. Is there any chance you could get any of it back? I would think that since it just happened today, you could maybe go to wherever she was taking them. I'd hope she was donating and not just throwing them away. And explain the situation. Not the a-hole, but you need to recognize the game. She, of course, is judging you, but yelling at her turns her into the victim. Notice your dad's reaction. You should be more subtle in your response, and respond like for like. If she is doing something, you need to respond by helping her. Can you take out the garbage? No problem. Then throw something of hers away that she likes, but you hate, or think is stupid, ugly. Can you pick off X at the store? No problem. Get Y, a thing you like, but in a similar vein. When she questions you, just say, "Oh, this is much better. I was only trying to help." Just be super helpful from now on. Not the a-hole. I hate to say it, but you may need to make a simple suggestion that you don't intend on going through with. And tell her it's only fair now that I've decided to wait until the next time you're out to help you, just like you helped me, by throwing away your wardrobe too. Ask them to describe in detail what makes it fair that she did that to you, if it would be unacceptable to do the same thing to her. Let them know that they just set the precedent that it would be equally okay for you to do that to her now. And tell them they need to use logic to describe to you why you can't help her the same way now. If the concept that what she did was wrong by every definition still escapes them, just let them know that it would actually be pretty unrealistic for them not to expect a form of equal treatment. That illustrates your point, unless they pay you back piece by piece for each item. Ha! My mother died a month ago. She was 78 and long divorced from my father. She had married again. We will call her second husband Giles. My mother left a will in which all her property and assets go to Giles. So far so good. I don't feel slighted by this, and there are no large sums of money or items of any sentimental value at stake as far as I know. Plot twist. It is not a legal will, because of her decision to leave it all to Giles. In the country where she lived, not the country where I live, it is not legal for a parent to leave a will which doesn't include their children. So Giles is not getting my mother's assets unless I sign some kind of form to say that I renounce my legal claim to my share. I don't know how much of a share is required by law. So why would I not just do this? 1. I despise Giles, and always have. He is a toxic narcissist. 2. My mother knew I felt this way. 3. Specifically, I blame his distrust of conventional medicine for my mother's ill health in her old age. Giles specifically discouraged her from taking medicine prescribed to her in favor of natural or homeopathic remedies. 4. I'm not 100% sure why my mother, a calm, intelligent, and conflict-avoiding sort of person, would have done something which was literally guaranteed to cause conflict and legal difficulty after her death. Any competent lawyer in that country would have strongly advised against it. Some thoughts. 4a. Was she pressured into doing it or convinced to sign a will without reading it? 4b. It seems like the kind of thing Giles would have convinced her to do out of sheer narcissism, when it could have been avoided if she just left a token amount to satisfy the legal requirement. 4c. Was she trying to force us to reconcile by making this troublesome will which requires us to contact each other after her death, and for me to make a formal act of generosity towards Giles? 4d. Maybe there is a lot of money at stake. That would come as a surprise, because they lived like poor people, and as far as I know, their assets were all used up or sold off long ago. But you hear stories about people who lived like paupers, and then left millions in their will. The lawyer's letter doesn't say anything about the actual estate. Thoughts? Ooh, this is interesting. Personally, I think the answer is you're the a-hole, but you should take your money anyways. Sometimes it's okay to be an a-hole. Not the a-hole. Take your legal claim as part of your right to do so. The narcissist can go shove bricks with what he cares about. Your only connection to him was your mother, and now that she's gone, you have no obligation to let him in your life. You're the a-hole. It's interesting for me as a stranger on the internet, but your mother's last wishes shouldn't be something you make into a game of Clue. Whatever you do, do it amicably out of respect for her. Don't use her death as a platform for a power trip. Sorry it's harsh, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And for the record, Giles sounds like an absolute jerk, and I would be spiteful toward him too, just not like this. Move on. You're the a-hole. This was your mother's assets and she gave them to her husband upon death. That is very normal. In fact, assuming he's past retirement age himself, he may need what little she left just to be able to afford his expenses. It doesn't matter if you were a big fan of Giles or not. This wasn't your money to take or give, even if the law is on your side. Don't disrespect your mom like this and assume you knew better than she did. My 18 female, father, 43 male, and his partner, 40 female, have just had their first baby together, my half-sister. My dad's partner has been on the scene since I was 2. My dad cheated on my mom with his now partner, and then left my mom for her. His partner has always given me a bit of a hard time, saying mean things and pretending that they're jokes, particularly when my dad isn't there. For example, I always make her and my dad a coffee in the mornings when I stay with them, and she'll say to people while I'm standing right there, how bad I am at making coffee, or joke that her 10-year-old niece is better at doing it than me, that sort of thing. Anyway, I used to stay at their house one night a week, but a couple of years ago, they moved 3 hours away from where I live with my mom and go to school, uni, etc. I've been really excited about the baby. I went and stayed with my dad while his partner and the baby were still in hospital after the birth. I did grocery shop and tried to get the house nice before they came home. My dad has MH issues and is pretty useless at anything like that. Given they live too far away for me to drop in regularly, I was planning to stay for a week once partner and baby came home. I took time off from my part-time job, etc. I figured I could cook and do housework and run errands for them and stuff, so my dad and his partner could focus on bonding with the baby. Anyway, on the day his partner and the baby are meant to come home, my dad tells me that they want it to be just family, i.e., my dad, his partner, and the baby, and that I need to go home. Now, I'm like 99% sure this is coming from his partner. I don't think my dad would care if I was there. I lost my crap, crying and yelling at my dad, and asked my dad that if this had happened a year ago, and he'd somehow had full custody of me at the time, if he would have just turned me out to make room for the baby. He said of course not, and backtracked pretty quick, and said I could stay, but I was really upset by then and said no. I went into my room and stayed there, even after the baby and partner came in the Arvo, and then I left first thing the next morning. My dad and his partner are both pissed off at me for throwing a tantrum, and leaving and making it about me when they're trying to focus on the new baby. I was upset and told my friend's mom about it, and she said I was being the a-hole to make such a big deal over it, as I'm technically an adult. I'm nearly 19, and it's fair enough that my dad's partner just wanted to be with him and the baby. The whole thing has made me feel like crap. Am I the a-hole? Edited to add. Me being there was planned ages in advance. It was my idea, but they agreed to it and knew I had to get time off the restaurant where I work, etc. Then they changed their minds and said they just wanted it to be family. Also, I lost it at my dad before his partner and baby came home. It was just the two of us at the house. I wouldn't yell if the newborn and someone who'd just given birth was there. I stayed out of their way once they came home, and then left first thing next day. Not the a-hole. You were trying to do something nice for your dad and his mistress. You call her the partner, but I'll call it like it is. You were basically told, you're not family, with the statement of, we only want family. Sorry, OP, your dad wants to start over, and apparently, that's not with the child of the woman he cheated on. Not the a-hole. It doesn't matter that you're an adult now. You're still that guy's child. I'd be pissed at your dad, not his partner. She's terrible, but your dad is worse in my opinion. When a new baby comes, you don't kick out the older ones. Not the a-hole. Tell your dad that if he doesn't consider his own daughter family, you won't be until he apologizes. Them wanting quiet time to recover after a new baby is understandable. Not thanking you for the kindness you did them, and calling you not family, isn't.